Ladies and gentlemen, we are back, and I feel like this is a celebratory cast,
For
a
sure.
special edition type of feel. I opened up a 2016 red. Like, that's how good I feel. I'm still looking for Howie's information. I'm going to send him a couple nice bottles for what he did for us this past weekend.
Totally yourself.
What'd you say?
And totally redeem yourself. Howie
And
coming in.
totally redeem yourself. I don't really know how much better of a job he could have done. What do you guys think?
I mean, he definitely smoked this draft. I mean, he got Jordan Davis, who, I mean, was a major flaw for them last year with the run. I mean, they couldn't stop the run last year. The defensive line generated no pressure. We'll see if Jordan Davis can do that at this level, but I mean, I believe he can. I mean, obviously, people are throwing questions at him all over the place now. He can't play 3 downs, like all that bullshit. He can't pass rush, whatever. That dude is way too athletic to not develop some type of pass rush skill set.
We need to just get this on the table right now. No one on Georgia's defense played that many snaps.
For sure. Didn't have to.
Like, they were beating the dog shit out of everybody. And then the 2 times they played Bama and when they played Michigan, they didn't even need to play then. In their second to last game, they beat the shit out of them that bad. I'm not concerned about – bro, when you look at him, he is a physical specimen. He doesn't look out of shape at all.
Right.
You watch him run, he's definitely not. So I'm not buying any of that. He can't play 3 downs bullshit.
No, they talk. I mean, that they've come out with some stuff like after the draft about whether it's the national championship game or just earlier in the season, just about his role in the Georgia defense, and his role was to just take up that space, right? There was a lot of times when he was out there, his role wasn't to rush the passer at all. So I think you talk about that freak athleticism and just like the size of what he commands just in terms of attention along the defensive line. When we talked about impact players last week, right, this is a guy that could potentially for the foreseeable future, you hope for the next 10 years, could open things up for the rest of your defense, from the front, back. So I think it's a home run hit, and he's one of the guys that we mentioned last week, right? So we, in terms of the guys we talked about, Jameson Williams goes the pick 4, right, to Detroit. They jump up ahead of the Eagles and take Williams. I'm sorry, jump up ahead, take Williams. The Eagles then have Davis, who I think they were jumping up ahead of the Ravens, who may have taken
100%.
Never taken him next pick. I mean. I don't think the Eagles were ever going to really strongly consider taking, out of Hamilton, out of Notre Dame.
Oh, Hamilton, yeah.
It was Davis and Hamilton, 1 or 2, the next 2 picks. Ravens were going for one or the other, whoever was going to them. So
do you have any regrets not taking Kyle Hamilton? I saw some of that on Twitter.
No. I think because when you need the Eagles defense needs too much, and it's like if you had a couple pieces in place either along the front line, for the foreseeable future, right? Like we know Fletcher Cox is at the end of his run, but anywhere, like where's your future at from the inside out? And if it's going to be this guy, right, like that's who I would invest in. Even though I know I need a safety and that piece, right? To me, I think just for what the Eagles want to do as a defense, and just what I think generally makes the defense work would be from that inside out. So I'm happy. I'm more than happy with the Davis pick.
I feel like the Ravens are a team that are always in a position to take a safety just because they never have a flawed D line. The Eagles weren't in that spot.
Right.
And I think Kyle Hamilton would have looked really good in an Eagles uniform this year. But if they did take him, it would have been, and he would have looked good because they're getting to the second level too easily, if that makes any sense. Mm-hmm. You needed the trenches. I think Kyle Hamilton is going to be a stud. I think the Ravens had a quiet, great draft.
For where they were picking, they definitely had the best draft.
I'm not ready to say that. I think there's one other team, and it's in our division, that had a pretty good draft too.
The Giants.
The Giants had a good draft.
Yeah, but I'm saying from where they were picking. I mean, the Giants were 5 and 7.
That's a good. Yep. No, you're right.
Ravens didn't move. Stay here. I'll take this Pro Bowler. This dude will be a stud in 2 years. They
Yeah,
just
no,
know
you're
what they're
right.
doing. They're such a good organization.
They don't miss.
They don't.
The problem with the Giants is now you might have a competent organization or GM running the place, right? So without Gettleman in there, maybe they start making some smart moves. So it could be like a big impact for them. I've seen both New York teams up on the top of the list, Jets and Giants, in terms of draft
For sure.
grade. Eagles are up there, and the Ravens as well, right? But I think the Eagles are up there also because of the other big move that happens in round one. And I mean, we haven't even mentioned it yet, but they're getting a stud 24-year-old AJ Brown in here to be wide receiver number one to his good buddy Jalen Hurts. Like, I mean, what more could you ask for to address the wide receiver position during the draft than to get a proven guy like that?
And to think that his numbers look the way they did on the Titans, who fully commit to the run, even without Derrick Henry, they don't pass the ball. And I just really think with the weapons around him and that O-line, you're going to find out if Jalen Hurts is a guy. I'm not going to say the guy, but a guy. And if he can get you to the next level. Because, bro, it's all around you. You got a great O-line, great weapons. Maybe, in my opinion now, the best arsenal in the NFC East. Can you say that after the toys at Dallas lost? I feel like you can.
I mean, I might be feeling optimistic, but if you put a top 5 quarterback in the Eagles offense, I don't know why they wouldn't be the best offense in the league.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
What are they missing?
When you look at everything else, nothing. We have a question mark at that most important position.
Right. That's the question mark. But if you replace that with a real guy, I mean, you got toys everywhere. Arguably the best offensive line in football, easily a top 3 offensive line in football.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, now you have the duo. I mean, Devontae's going to be getting the second corner on Sundays. I mean, the guy was up wide open last year.
And then you're going to tell me Pascal Quez in the slot. That's actually a wide receiver core. And I feel like this is maybe the second time in all of our lives that we've had a real wide receiver core.
Well, you bring up Watkins, right? So who you thought Watkins was going to be or could be last year, even more reason to buy in this year because of, the lanes, the space, whether it's inside or on the outside, things that are going to open up because of having AJ Brown now on the team. Whether he's, demanding the best corner on the other team or even double team, you're going to have openings for guys like whether it's Pascal or Watkins. And I'm really anxious to see how they use Watkins now and maybe get him in some of those plays where they try to get him the ball early in space. Like, some of the other, things we talk about what the NFL does now with these speed guys, things may open up for a bit for him now with Brown in the mix. But if you think about the wide receiver position in the draft, right? Like, where else, but now because of the quarterback position to invest and spend money on for like AJ Brown's locked up, right? Like he's the longest locked up right now. So I mean, you have a rookie quarterback deal right now. If it doesn't, you don't know really where he stands with his value at this point in that deal. And if it doesn't work out, you're most likely, moving on to another rookie quarterback. I can't imagine the Eagles being, in a big quarterback free agent, splash. So with that flexibility that the rookie quarterback deals potentially give you, you can go out and buy in on a receiver like Brown, who's going to help. He should help any quarterback.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. And I think the third pick, or the second pick, I'm sorry, was a little surprising, but not at all at the same time. And I think at the moment I was a little upset, but we'll get to that later. But after I settled down, and I'm like, that just makes so much sense. And everything that you read about this Jurgens kid, he's a beast, and he gets to sit behind Kelsey, he's a Hall of Famer. Who
handpicked him, pretty much.
He said he was his favorite player in the draft. I mean, and if that guy, fuck Mel Kiper, if Jason Kelsey's saying, no, this guy has the tools to be what I was, all right, yeah, say way less, I'm taking him.
For
so
sure.
You get his replacement, and not to mention interior line depth in the NFL now. So many guys go down these days. Just having an extra body that you can probably plug in at a guard position if you had to. I don't know. I can't say that for a fact, but I just feel like watching his tape, he could probably play any one of those three positions competently. And that makes me feel good about the way our entire line is going to be shaped out for years to come. Because that was a big question mark last year.
I heard he's a center. So to me, my question was: so is it a given that Dickerson's just moving to guard like full time, right? Because we now have drafted 2 centers within the last couple of years. So which one is moving to guard and who's replacing Kelsey? It sounds like the guy they drafted, Jurgens that they drafted the other night is replacing Kelsey, right? Just by the way Kelsey speaks of them and what it looks like he could do from that position. So, I mean, to be honest, it's the 3rd and 4th pick that make me more okay with the early center pick, right? It gets gets me by it, right? Because also the other thing is, investing in this guy, if he is to be the center in the 2nd round, like to me, is this it for Jason Kelsey? Is this really the last year? Because otherwise, are you just you're having this guy sit out just for 1 year? Is Kelsey coming back? And does he slot it? Does he slot in a guard somewhere? So, what does it mean for whether or not this is the last round for Kelsey?
It's really hard to tell with that guy, just because I hate to say this term, but like he is cut differently. He really is. Like he's just always on the field, no matter what, and the guy's just always left it out there for us every Sunday and Monday. Like I love him. That might be my third biggest man crush in the NFL is Jason Kelsey. He should be 1.
Who's top 2?
Well, it was
Taylor Heinicke up there.
Mike Vrabel.
Taylor Heinicke.
Yeah, that's a fact.
I love Taylor Heinicke.
That's a fact.
I'm just a big. I just like
it's
art.
Vrabel, Heinicke. Yeah, it's Vrabel and Heinicke is 1 and 2, right?
You gotta respect guys that just leave it out there for you, no matter what. And even if you're down 30, they're giving you all you got. It's like if I'm a fan and I'm bringing my family and I'm spending thousands of dollars, and my team's getting the shit kicked out of them, I want to see you at least play until it says 0-0 on the clock. Taylor Heinicke gives you that.
For sure.
Gives you your money's worth. Granted, that organization is a dumpster fire, not even as a football team, just top to bottom, between making cheerleaders do topless photo shoots, which is disgusting. I can't believe nobody got in trouble for that. And then everything else that they've done. And then I can't believe he cooked the books on the NFL. He cooked the books. What are you doing? What are you doing?
If that doesn't get that dude thrown out of ownership, like he never will be.
You're messing with a lot of very wealthy people's money. And there's only one thing that makes them angry, and it's messing with their money.
For sure.
So, and now I know Jerry is on the horn getting that dude under the fire. There's no doubt in my mind that Jerry's getting ready to get rid of him. Boys, I need to bring this up. And
the DMV would have a parade just for that.
I mean, as a Redskins fan, they're still Redskins. The Commanders is like a cop out from the football team. That's a terrible, terrible team name too. So you guys have now had half a decade to think about it, and you haven't come up with anything good. So until they give me something legitimate, they're the Redskins. That's how I feel about it. I have to just tell you how I feel about this 3rd round pick. And I don't even know where to start. This kid has been my favorite. Sean, how many times did I come in on Monday and be like, Nakobe Dean is a monster? And then everybody said, I guess Friday and Thursday, that he was a product of the Georgia D line. Well, we have that now too. So you're putting somebody like that. They're actually investing in linebacker with Hassan Riddick, Nakobe Dean. You're putting serious assets in a linebacker position, which I haven't seen maybe ever. Like,
Yeah,
was
they also
Jeremy-
signed Kaiser White from the Chargers, who was supposed to be their starting middle linebacker. But I mean, who knows now with getting Nakobe if he's healthy? I mean, that dude's on the field
I'm not mad at depth.
for sure.
Having some depth there. I mean, and I think the fact you put up those numbers with no D line at all against the run speaks volumes to the kind of linebacker that you are. If you actually are able to get some push in the front and then have you behind them, that's a good asset too. And just, I'm excited about it. Granted, I don't know how much the linebacker position matters anymore, but when you do have the good ones, it matters a lot.
Especially coming from having zero. I mean, we haven't had a
Yeah.
linebacker since the Super Bowl with Michael Kendricks and Jordan Hicks. I mean, the Nakobe Dean pick makes me love the second round pick because I was watching Howie's press conference. I mean, this could be bullshit, but he was saying he had two people that he was looking to pick at that second round pick, and it was Cam Jurgens and Nakobe Dean. So to take Cam Jurgens and then get Nakobe Dean on the way back in the third round, I mean, the steal of all steals.
I couldn't believe it. You're going to tell me we got Jordan Davis and A.J. Brown, Jason Kelsey's replacement, and then the dude I wanted at 18
Right.
in the third? Oh, my God.
Yeah,
I'm
it was a good
excited.
couple nights.
Oh, that just – you can't tell me I'm not all the way back now. I am all the way back. Howie is in good graces. He bought himself a lot of time in my eyes. And even if the draft doesn't pan out the way it looks on paper right now, you made the good picks.
And that's
Big
the important
schools.
part, for sure. The philosophy has clearly changed. Even if Nakobe Dean is hurt forever and never gets on the field, the pick is the right pick.
Yeah.
In the third?
Yeah, I mean, it's a no-brainer.
No brainer. And he's saying to everybody, he's like, I got no problems. I don't need surgery. I'm playing on Tuesday.
Yeah, right.
So I just know it at bare minimum, he is going to give it everything he has.
And he's coming in with a chip on his shoulder.
For sure.
I mean, he thought he was – I mean, he just lost millions of dollars getting picked in the third round.
Oh, he's getting that on
He's
the
gotta
second
be
contract
hungry.
for sure.
Yeah, right.
I'm so excited about that. And then even in the fourth round, you're talking, or actually no, we skipped a couple rounds, but that inside linebacker from Kansas that they got,
Yeah, Johnson.
he's supposed to be extremely gifted physically.
Right.
Yeah, I think they
So-
took a couple shots on some guys late.
I'm not-
and then the tight end as well, right at the end there, just to take a flyer on those guys late. But yeah, I mean, he played at Kansas, and I think he won I think it might have been. I think I can count on one hand how many games he won in his whole collegiate career at Kansas. So, I mean, any highlights from Kansas, you're going to stand out.
That's a good
For
point.
sure.
That's a good point. And then I do like how he addressed the cornerback position by taking the number 2 corners from 2 premier programs in Clemson and Alabama.
Young drafted guys.
Yeah, I mean, if you could play there, you at least have deserved an opportunity to go to camp. I mean, and they got guaranteed deals. They got guaranteed deals that aren't guaranteed to late round picks. They got real money, and they're getting a real opportunity. If you could just get one of them on the field for you, that's you might not have a choice. But there are going to be opportunities for cornerbacks with teams in salary cap positions where they need to make some room. I mean, I know the Giants are already talking about it. They're in a terrible spot financially somehow because they have the highest paid receiver room in the NFL, which is how
It's laughable. It really is.
They
had a handful of touchdowns last year.
Yeah.
I think they had the least amount of touchdowns in the NFL.
Yeah, I think
and
so.
they're the highest paid. What are you doing? What are you doing?
None of their receivers are even close to our top 2 receivers. Kenny Galladay is a nice player who's always hurt. But even at his best is he's a good receiver. But I think Devontae can be way better than him. I think Devontae was open last year. And to get I think he's going to feast this year.
He should, yeah. Should have a lot more.
It's just up to Hurts. I mean, that's the only
Devontae was
question
open
mark.
a lot in that Tampa Bay Buccaneers game too. He just didn't see the reads. He didn't see him coming out. Like, I'm giving him an opportunity. I'm giving him an honest opportunity. You have real pieces in front of you this year, kid. I'm pulling for you. If anybody is, it's me. But I'm going to call it how I say it. And if you're not up to par, then I can't call it any other way.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. He needs to improve, but he's earned another year to get that improvement.
Yeah. And I think he's a grinder.
For sure.
I mean, that's another dude that does have heart. Like, I'm not saying that he doesn't. I just I don't know why I can't ever just put one of my own players from the team that I love up there as a heart guy that I root for. I don't know. It's weird. I have a weird Philadelphia bias.
He's definitely one of them.
For sure.
He's all the way there mentally.
Boys, I have a couple questions for you, and I just want to get the temperature. It's too early to tell because the official schedule hasn't been released, and I do think the NFL is genius for having a whole schedule special. That just shows how powerful they are, and I'm probably going to watch it, even though it doesn't matter, and I can look it up the next day and get all the information in a second. What'd you say?
I'm watching the draft on a Friday night at 11 o'clock. I just have it on, right? It's just and just seeing all the people that were there, it's just the spectacle that the draft has become. Let alone, of course they could throw a schedule release party, right? And everybody's gonna pay attention and see where our teams are playing and when, right?
It's so sad.
Give in the CFL's world, I'm living in it.
Actually, the best text I received throughout the weekend was from you, where you were like, "I hate how much I love this league."
Oh, unbelievable.
It is embarrassing, but I'm just invested. I'm pot committed.
Yeah.
I don't really know which one I want to start off with. I think I'm going to start off with win total over under 8.5
for the Eagles, right?
Mm-hmm.
Over. I think there's no reason this team shouldn't win 9 games. They're better on the defensive line. They should be way better on the defensive line. Getting Hassan Reddick, getting Brandon Graham back with the additions they made in the draft and all that. There's no way they're not a better defensive line. And the offensive line's still just as good. They're going to be able to run the ball just as well. They should be able to score, and they were scoring last year. I don't see any, and the schedule should be just as favorable as it was last year. I know we had an easy one last year. Yeah, right. But, it's just as easy this year. There's no reason this team shouldn't be fighting for the last playoff spot at the end of the year, for sure.
Rob, what's your take, over, under?
I'm going over. If you could find it at even money, good luck. Go for it.
Oh, no, that's not happening.
I saw it at 120 earlier in the day. I don't know what you saw it at when you grabbed it, but
it's right around the same number.
I'd go up to one. I'd lay an extra 10 cents on the Birds to get over 8.5. Of course I would. I would have told you that they would have done that last year, and you would have called me crazy. And but then again, I would tell you that every year.
Same.
But no, but realistically, what's not to like about the offseason so far? The offense is. I don't think there's any way you can tell me the offense is not going to be better, right? Because if Jalen Hurts even if he stays the same, let alone improves, however much he does, right? The offense is going to be better just by what's now around him, especially with the addition of A.J. Brown. Defense, the secondary is obviously the biggest question mark, the biggest miss coming away from the draft. So what are they going to do, right? I think that's going to be pretty frustrating to watch, especially when the pass rush isn't getting going. But for right now, they feel like they have enough bodies that can make up for they're losing in Nelson and a Cloud. So we'll see.
I do know that there are some tough matchups that they did land at home, which is very helpful. I do think that the way it all shaked out, and with the extra week, I do believe they get the extra home game this year.
Yep.
So that's big in the grand scheme of things. That does matter when you're talking about a 1 or a half game differential from making the playoffs or winning a division. That stuff matters a lot. I like them at over 8.5. I think in the beginning of the year, we may see some grinded out growing pains with teams that they necessarily shouldn't really be tangoing with. Where it's this should be a win, but that's typical Eagles fashion. But think once they catch a stride, we're going to see them really show up against some what's considered to be like premier organizations. Like I'm looking at it, you have a home game against the Packers. I got to see where that lands in the schedule, but just like eye test, I kind of do like them in that spot. I don't know where it is. That could be in between a couple goofy games. We'll see. But I do like them to beat the Packers at home this year, especially with like the tools they were just granted last week. Next question. Playoffs, yes or no? The juice on yes is minus 116. No, minus 106.
Giving up 4 cents from the win total. That's a weird line. It's less expensive to take. What it's like they can get in at 8. I guess the thought is
they won't because the NFC is top heavy.
Yeah.
So like, but there are.
I like it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. I like them to make the playoffs. I before I don't want to jump too far ahead of you, so I won't. But yeah, no, I absolutely like them to make the playoffs, and it's even cheaper than the 8.5. I like them over 8.5. I like 9, 10. So I'm taking that too.
Yeah, I absolutely think they should make the playoffs. I mean, I think they should be able to win the division. I think the division is up for grabs.
Yeah.
That brings me to my next question. Division plus 240. I'm making that an official play once we break down the NFC East in cast to come. An official play from Mike is the Philadelphia Eagles to win the division at plus 240. This might be jumping the gun a little bit. I think I'm going to bet the Dallas Cowboys not to make the playoffs. I think the Minnesota Vikings win that division. The Packers squeak in on a wild card spot. That's just how I feel about it.
I don't know about that, Cowboys. But I definitely think the Cowboys can. I mean, they got worse. I think there's no doubt about it. The Cowboys got worse. Losing Amari Cooper, losing Cedric Wilson. Zeke's another year older. You're still paying him. They lost La'el Collins. Like, they lost one of their defensive linemen. I forget if it was Randy Gregory or who. I forget who it was, but they got worse.
Much worse. And they don't have all the toys they used to have that used to keep them in games come third, fourth quarter where Dak Prescott puts up crazy numbers. That team's going to have a different dynamic than it did last year. And it's like you're not going to hear the same sizzle about the Cowboys with Diggs, Micah Parsons. That stuff's cute when you're winning. But when you're just in the middle of the pack, nobody wants to hear about your dudes that give up the most touchdowns in the league, but also have the most interceptions. Nobody cares.
Yeah, if they're 3-4, nobody wants to hear about you giving up the most yards in the league. I mean, you just said that's simple as day.
Yeah.
I mean, like if you line their rosters up on paper, it's a lot closer this year than it was last year or previous years since they've started this little rebuild.
I also think that Week 18 matchup where the Cowboys were acting like they won something.
Right, they won the Super Bowl with that. Yeah, yep.
In a game that like didn't matter whatsoever. You were beating backups.
They felt good about it though.
But that's what they do now.
Yep, that's
what they do now.
They're losers.
They third stringers, right? Like they were competing with backups early in the game, and then they routed the third stringers by the end of it. That's how that game went. Like scoreboard at the end of the day looked different, but I mean they both ended up at the same spot at the next week, but as long as they ended up there too.
Boys, I'm excited. This is how I show excitement. It's like I show no emotion, but I'm so excited. I cannot wait. And we have a lot of good casts coming. We're going to break down every division. We're going to break down fantasy football. We're going to talk about all the players, all the divisions, all the teams, and then all the good bets you can put in beforehand, before the season starts, where you can get good value. Anything else to add before we get off about the Birds?
I don't think so. Go get me a damn corner and I'm good.
Yeah.
We'll figure the safety thing out whenever.
I'm ready to keep talking football because I don't know about you guys, but baseball's not going to cut it for me this summer. It's just not going to get it done. I'm already ready for football to start.
I can't wait. I can't believe we're like 4 months away. But everybody stay tuned because we got a lot of good bets coming up for you. We got a lot of good content coming up for you. And we have a lot of good merchandise and tickets coming your way. So stay tuned. Follow us on the social medias and get in touch with the giveaways. Boys, until next time.